Alright, the last several weeks and everything, other than the program review I did for AthleanX, I've been going over like a lot of the smart recovery. So this week I'm going to showcase like not just smart recovery, but how you can go about finding like alternatives to the cult of AA and everything. So pretty much like using one of these, you can see with the good old search engine on the internet, and of course as my cat is looking for attention, so here he is to help us out, like with the substance abuse. Like, get yourself better. Yes, you don't need that stinky religion too. No. Yep. You're here to join the party, huh? All right, go play. Yes, you just want attention, everything. There you go. So again, with that distraction, pretty much like a search engine, typing in like for instance I put in basically like secular addiction recovery programs. So it lets you kind of like sit here, scroll down, and gives you a bunch of different things. So as I go down, I see like obviously smart recovery, and then like that's like the smartrecovery.org addiction center. It's like addictioncenter.com for non-religious treatment, non-12-step support groups, recovery alternatives to AA. So this one I'm going to click on alcohol.org, and so like as I click on it, it pretty much brings up like alternatives to it and everything. So as the cat is still looking for attention, yes, perfect time to ask for attention, don't you? Yes, as I'm trying to talk to people about helping out them. Yes, you gonna help them out? Yeah, yeah. You're like, hey, look, I'm the perfect treatment. You don't need anything else. All right. So anyway, so like for instance, coming into this website and everything, 5 alternatives to Alcoholics Anonymous. The cult of AA. So like everyone knows like AA is like a 12-step program, which like it's basically a religious program, a religious cult program. So I'm not going to like necessarily talk about that because like that's like total like bullshit. Like I've said in the past, based on like 1930s religion that hasn't changed since then. Nope. And you're still like, oh, look at me. So anyway, like for instance, like it talks about like as like you scroll down, it has like the alternatives. So to like for recovery, it talks about like a smart recovery. Number one. Number two is Life Ring. Three is Women for Sobriety, WFS. It does talk about the SOS, the Secular Organizations for Sobriety, and it does talk like number five, moderation management. So then like for instance like learn more about these non-AA recovery groups below. And so like for instance right here it starts off with number one, smart recovery groups for alcohol addiction, and it goes into kind of like it has like several different like a few paragraphs for that explain it. And I have a bunch of previous videos on that, so I'm not necessarily going to go into that because like you can check out the previous videos. And then with number two, it gives like a life ring alcoholism recovery program. Since like I'm not necessarily familiar with this one, and like I will sit here and read like some of the stuff that it's about and everything, as I got a little attention junkie. Yeah. Okay. Who needs attention? Oh yeah. Yeah. Sorry. You done? Yeah. All right. So life ring alcoholism recovery program. So this is number two on the list. With a bustling online community and local meetings throughout the United States, Secular Recovery is a non-12-step program that offers an alternative to AA. LifeRing believes that each individual holds the key to recovery, and it's not necessary to then place control in the hands of a spiritual being. As a secular self-help group, LifeRing meetings and doctrine encourages members to maintain abstinence from drugs and alcohol and strive toward enhancing each person's sober self while weakening their addict self. LifeRing LifeRing concepts hold that everyone has a sober self inside them. The group works on developing techniques to enhance this version of self instead of an addict self, which has previously been in control of all decisions and led to destruction in life. Each person is encouraged to find a method of encouraging their sober self within the LifeRing program. Peer support is a big part of LifeRing recovery program as individuals share advice with other members and offer support for encouragement in recovery. LifeRing focuses mainly in the present on living a full and full and positive sober life without dwelling too much on past indiscretions and hurts that may have been the result of problematic drinking. So, number 3 is Women for Sobriety. I'm going to kind of skip over that, so you can go to this alcohol.org website and read that, because for someone like me, I don't necessarily think it's a good I don't think I have the perspective to really give a good viewpoint on this one. So because this one is for Women for Sobriety, WFS. So I'm going to go over that, but you can go, like I said, go to alcohol.org website, and then you can get into that and everything and read that. So then number 4 is the SOS Alcoholism Program. Secular Organizations of Sobriety is not one specific program, but rather a collection of 9 12-step alcohol support groups that are autonomous from each other. SOS provides individuals alternative to spiritually based recovery programs. SOS hosts both online and physical face-to-face non-12-step meetings to help people overcome any form of addiction, from behavioral addictions to drug and alcohol addictions. These programs offer support and encouragement for people who may wish for a different method, for different motivation or foundation than one based on spirituality and relinquishing control. Instead, individuals are encouraged to take on their own weaknesses, learn to accept them, and move forward in recovery. SOS sobriety groups are non-professional and offer a healthy network of individuals with similar goals of sobriety. Moderation management. Now, of course, in AA, there's no such thing as moderation. You have to accept a non-existent spiritual higher power and do complete abstinence and everything. Whereas quite a few people could, in essence, do moderation management instead and live a better life. So this one, moderation management, is very different than many other recovery and support groups in that it doesn't require complete abstinence to remember. Instead, focuses on helping people to manage problematic drinking and behaviors that are destructive, aiding in and encouraging positive lifestyle changes. is a peer support program that acknowledges that behaviors are changeable and that alcohol abuse, which differs from dependence, is a habit that can be altered. Understands that there are varying degrees of alcohol abuse, and not everyone suffers from severity of addiction. Now, of course, AA, there's no such thing as a spectrum. There's you're a complete alcoholic. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's instead of, okay, you might have a mild case of alcohol abuse, a moderate, or even a severe. So, however, most people can benefit from learning how to change behaviors related to drinking that are problematic. Holds that problem drinking is not always the same thing as addiction, and in less severe instances, individuals may be able to moderate their drinking instead of abstaining completely. Moderation may not be the best strategy for everyone, acknowledges, but it may work well for some. So, the example I like to use, someone like me, who's constantly getting blackout drunk, this wouldn't be for me, but for instance, someone who maybe has social anxiety, and you go out, you're going into social situations, you end up binge drinking in those situations. But at home, you can sit there and maybe get yourself a 6-pack of beer or something, and it lasts you 2 or 3 weeks at home. So that would be an instance where moderation management comes into play. So moderation management steps of change program works through 9 steps in face-to-face meetings. The program and steps ask that members keep a diary of drinking patterns and behaviors and detail all the issues that have been associated with drinking, both now and in the past. Individuals are then asked to go through 30 days of abstinence where they stop drinking altogether. During that time, people are to develop coping mechanisms to avoid drinking when it's warranted, to cut back on drinking, and to control drinking when they can engage in it. Each individual of should establish their own personal goals for drinking or not drinking, as the case may be, and learn how to stay within these rules. Self-management and the elimination of behavioral and other issues associated with problem drinking are key components of moderation management program. So now it goes on to actually talk about benefits of support groups for alcohol addiction recovery, and so it gives a bunch of bullet points, a few bullet points on how to do that, and of course, It does have featured alcohol rehab centers, like find an alcohol recovery program near you, and then like also talks about insurance, like are you covered for treatment with your insurance? So like and then of course like it does have a little blurb about like learn about AA, but like it's you can sit here and kind of scroll. I'm scrolling back up as I got a freaking pop up. So different insurances does talk like showcase like as I go back up different links for insurances and stuff. It does have like a links to like learn about like AA here, but honestly, the way I see it, you're going to be much better served with all these alternatives other than AA because like you're just basically trading like a dependency on like especially like if you're dependent on alcohol or drugs, you go into AA or like even NA, the 12-step relationship programs, you're just basically becoming dependent on those programs instead of like your substance and everything. So that's why I always say like don't go there. Get into like all these alternatives I just went over instead and everything. So it's like the great thing about like this the internet is that like it's the best tool that you can use to find like all these alternatives and everything, especially if you go into AA like and like oh well you know like that's what people do, and you find like oh hey this is total bullshit. This is where the internet comes into play, where you can start researching alternatives and be like, you know what, I'm not liking what I hear and like what I see with AA, so I'm going to go find something better and everything. That's like I said, showcasing how you can use the internet to like overcome your alcohol and or drug addiction.